Sean Taggart here at Freestyle Solutions. We're going to go into a quick in-depth view of Multichannel Order Manager, also known as M.O.M for short. So just a few quick things that we're going to go over before we go into today's webinar. Today's webinar is in fact recording. If there are anything that you want to review after the fact, if there's anything that you want to share with any of your colleagues or coworkers, if there's anything that you may have missed during this initial webinar, but you pick up on the video, this is going to be available for you 24 hours after the recording is completed. So sometime tomorrow you'll be getting this email to you so you can view the recording. We do highly recommend questions. On the GoToWebinar control panel, we do have the ability to go ahead here and have the ability for you to ask questions. Any questions that you do ask will be answered during this webinar. So feel free to ask any questions that you guys may have at any given time during today's webinar. Once again, there it is. Last but not least, make sure you guys download today's handouts that we have available, which are in fact the presentation PDF and a M.O.M solution sheet, so you get some ideas of what M.O.M has to offer. So I introduced myself briefly, but let me give you a little bit more of a background. My name is, once again, Sean Taggart. I am the Product Marketing Manager here at Freestyle Solutions. I've been in the role for probably about a year and 2 months right now. Previous to that, I was doing support and implementation. Also, I have with me is Ian Alano. Ian?
Thanks, Sean. I've been with the company about 12 years now. Head up departments from support to implementation. Currently heading up the product department, putting out enhancements and new features for the M.O.M suite.
Thanks, Ian. So a few things about Freestyle Solutions as a company. We were formerly known as Datacomp. The company started for retailers by retailers. The brothers that were in this, who started the company, were selling sheet music, and they decided that they wanted to create a system that could help manage their catalog business for that sheet music, manage the inventory, manage the orders that came in for it. So we do have around 30 years of experience of building order and inventory management software. We helped we put a staple on the inventory management category as a software category in 1985, and we are trusted by over 2,000 live customers. Here are some of the customers that we are trusted by in various different verticals and various different spaces as well. So really, to keep it brief, we're going to show you a brief agenda. We're going to go into M.O.M itself. Like I said, what we went into before was just more of an introduction of the company. And with that intro, we'll give you an intro to our order, inventory, and customer management side of M.O.M. We're going to be looking at the core feature set today. We're going to talk a little bit about our support team and how that works. And then, like I said, we'll answer any additional questions that may come up at the end. But please feel free to use that questions panel on the GoToMeeting space so you can ask your questions. So we want you guys to say hello to M.O.M. As you know, Mother's Day was about a month ago. It's very important, integral part of your life. And now we want to say that M.O.M is going to be an integral part of your back end for your business. So with Freestyle M.O.M, you do have an on-premise or hosted solutions or flagship software. What it does is it helps specialize in managing orders, customers, and inventory across all various different e-commerce channels. It's one of the largest feature sets in order management for over 30 years of experience, like I did mention. We do have thousands of features inside the product that help various different verticals and various different businesses such as yourself. And then we do have a lot of direct integrations plus a robust API to get into those other minor integrations that you may need to connect to the system to make your full back-end experience whole. So I'm going to play a quick clip, and we'll be right back where we're going to talk a little bit more about M.O.M itself.
Your online business is growing. That's a good thing. But as orders increase, so do the bottlenecks in business processes. To keep growing, you need to do a better job at managing inventory, processing and fulfilling orders, and keeping customers happy, all while expanding into new channels. That's where M.O.M comes in. Whether you rely on Magento, SiteLink, or another e-commerce platform, take orders by phone or over the counter, sell through online marketplaces, or use a mix of all of the above. M.O.M has helped thousands of businesses streamline and automate operations. From shopping to shipping, M.O.M manages the critical aspects of your business, including essential integrations with carriers, payment processing, and accounting systems. So you can be sure that inventory is always accurate, orders ship smoothly, and your customer service team can respond with confidence. And with M.O.M handling all the complicated details, you'll be free to focus on sourcing new products, finding new customers, and ultimately growing your business. Sign up for a free trial. Commerce Simplified.
So as we were talking about in the previous slides, we are going to only focus on the core features of M.O.M, which is your order, inventory, and customer management. We're going to spend some time talking about that today, but as you can see here in this brief diagram, we do have a lot of different ways to make all your back-end systems complete. As you can see, we do have the various different connections and connectors. We do have an API connection. Besides the connectors to get your e-commerce carts or marketplaces in there, we do have our own e-commerce cart and site link, which we won't be getting into today. But if you do want to have any questions about that, we can answer that. We do have file importing, and then we also handle your shipping, financial reporting. We have some security features in there as warehousing as well. So before we do go into the order management aspect of this webinar today, we're going to take a brief 30-second pause. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask. All right, and we're back. We're going to go into the first slide here about order management. Obviously, with our new version of M.O.M version 10, there's some exciting features and functionality that we do have here. One of them being creating a quote. Obviously, we can create an order within M.O.M. Obviously, by two ways. We can either do it by adding items without the customer information or looking at the customer for adding items. We do have an item lookup where you can show you different ways to look up an item, with one of them being an advanced search functionality. We do have cross-sell and upsell capabilities here, as well as order promotions. You can email out your invoices to customers or to your B2B clients. And then you can go ahead and quickly look up and adjust shipping and apply a payment to order. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw it over to Ian, who's going to go into some of the details that we just mentioned here. So Ian, I'm going to give you control. You can just do that right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean. So, like I said, M.O.M can handle multiple things in regards to order management. So the first thing we're going to see here is the creating a quote. So when you create a quote in M.O.M, you can do multiple ways. Obviously, in our order menu, you can enter a quote off the bat, or you can actually go to an order and then turn it into a quote. So in this example, I'm going to go to enter a new quote. You would put in the product that you'd like to purchase. You can see I did a partial input there. I would then choose a product I want to actually purchase, select the quantity that I want to input, and then you can see that the product is added and has an item status called quotation. Then you're able to then select a billing customer. So you would do one of my clients here, and you go to the order total, and you would ask how you would ship it, or if you have a standard shipping, you would choose that standard shipping, and then the payment method. At this point, you could then translate this information back to the client, letting them know that for a particular product, it would cost them $10.72 shipping and the tax of $175, totaling at $37.47. So that's how easy it is to create a quote within the M.O.M system. So once you save this, you can see that there's a prompt here asking you if you want to print an email copy of the quotation, or you actually want to put an expiration date. So that way, if you have a conversation with a client and you want to give them incentive or a cutoff date when the quote will expire, you can do that. Also, if you come back to this order, or if you have an order, you can also turn into any order into a quotation. So really a preference on how you want to import it in M.O.M. So next we have creating orders in M.O.M. So we have two ways, obviously. You can actually look up a customer first, or you can put an order first. So on a call center scenario, typically, you can verify who the client who's calling, so you can look up their last name or their zip code or their email. And once you find them, you can select them. And once they are in their customer record, you can then hit New Order, which is right here, and it takes us back to the ordering screen. So again, we would input the product they would like to purchase, and the shipping method they would like to ship it as, and then the pay method on how they would like to pay. Again, pretty straightforward and easy to use. Within our product, I showed you guys a partial lookup, but if you are not familiar with the product at all, you can actually do an F2 here, and it gives you a full lookup. And we have all these different fields you can look up on, and then a condition, so it contains or greater than or equal to. So if you don't know the stock number necessarily, but you do know the description, then you can look up by description and find the product you actually want to sell to the client. On top of that, if the full lookup is not up to par, you can we also offer what we call advanced search or advanced lookup. And these first search titles, 1 through 4, you can actually change these to the different advanced fields that you guys have. So a lot of our auto industries or other verticals actually will rename this to make, year, brand, model, and that way if it's a certain client is looking for a particular year or brand, they can easily search it here based on the criteria you set here, and then they can then recommend products to the particular client calling in. Also, within each product, you can actually do a cross-sell and upsell. So that's set up on the product level. We also allow promotions. So if you have an order level promotions, you can do that. And then over here, once you have completed the order, you can actually email a quote or a copy of the invoice. So that's pretty much the order management side. Again, a lot of information here that you can input. The sales information you can collect so that for reporting purposes, you can break down the different revenue or channels that you guys are getting revenue from. You have order notes that's internal, so you can keep track. If there's anything specific to the order that's been going on, you can keep track here. Once you add notes, it is dated and has initial who actually placed the notes. That way you can keep track who's doing that. And that's pretty much it for the order management. So we're going to pause here for 15 seconds, and if you guys have any questions, you can put them in now, and then before we move on to the next section of the demo here. So I'm going to give it back to Sean and see if you have any questions.
Great, thanks again for that first glimpse into M.O.M and talking about some of the order management stuff. We're going to go ahead now and talk about inventory management right now. We're going to really talk about a few key things here. One of them being purchasing, about how to set up some suppliers, manage their buying levels, and creating purchase orders, and then going ahead and modifying and updating those purchase orders. So if you need to adjust anything, if you need to add a SKU, if you need to adjust the quantity that you ordered before sending it out. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and talk about receiving. We do have some manual receiving capabilities You can go ahead and scan and receive with certain scanners, and we can talk about that a little bit, as well as running our import-export tools to either import or export inventory values. Lastly, we'll be talking about inventory adjustments, where you can do unit adjustments, you can do unit cost adjustments, and then transferring inventory from bin to bin. And then lastly, we'll talk about bin management. Now, we did mention, we want to open up the floor to questions or anything like that. And I do know we do have a few attendees. If there are anything that you guys want to see directly, please feel free to ask the question in the question panel below. We have no problem really running this and maintaining this the way that you guys want. Just opening up the floor to you guys just makes it a little bit more interactive, and we get to show you the things that you really care about and want to see. So with that being said, once again, I'm going to throw it over to Ian, and Ian's going to take care and show you guys the inventory management piece in M.O.M.
All right, thank you, Sean. So first thing is that we'll go to the setup of how you can create a PO. So before we can get there, we need to make sure we set up the product and the suppliers that are related to that. So within our product menu, we have maintain supplier. We have a lookup. You can actually look up a supplier. You would put in the information, their address, their contact, and then the email. So if you wanted an email here, you can input that. And what's good about this is that you can actually send this automatically. So as you are generating a PO for M.O.M, dropship or regular purchase orders, you will actually generate an email and email it to this email that you set up with your supplier, making it easier, saving you time to actually print out the PO and then scan it or print the PDF and send it over to your supplier. The system can actually do that and handle that for you. So once you have your supplier set up, you would then make sure that the product is also set up. So you want to go to your product, and within the product setup, there's what we call the purchasing levels under the supplier. So you can see I've already done that here. So this one gives you a chance to set up who your supplier is. Supplier ID is typically the item number that could be different from what you have in your warehouse. So typically a supplier might have a UPC code or ISBN that you want to use so that they can refer to it on their side, because they might not call it the same SKU number that you would on your side. We have equivalent SKUs, so these are for buying in cases. So if you buy cases from a supplier and you actually sell those items individually, you can have an equivalent SKU here, so that way you can put input 24, and when you actually receive, you get 24. So you put 24 here and you buy one and you receive it into the system as 24 units. So it updates the system appropriately. And then you have your unit price, so how much you actually buy the products for. So once all these items are set up, you then go to our purchasing screen. So here you have a purchasing screen where you can look up the stock item that you would like to buy. In this case, my product, and you can process that. And then you would see what purchasing levels is available, because one can have multiple suppliers for one product. Also on the filters here, you can see that we can filter it by suppliers. We can filter it by the active sold date of the particular product, or a low-level range for a particular product. So as a purchasing manager, it's really easy and straightforward to, again, pick and choose the product that actually needs to be refilled or stock up again, so that you can fill orders. So once you actually choose here, you can actually hit purchase item, which will put it to the pending purchase, so that if you are purchasing multiple products, you can then review all those products before you actually hit save. Once saving, it'll actually trigger it to create a PO. So this is how you would create a PO. You'd say yes, and said the PO is created, and then at that point, you can actually review that PO. So you can see this is our PO that we created for a product. And at this point, if there's any modification that needs to be done, expected date or a reference, you can do that right here. You can even edit the actual item and update the quantity on order or the bin where you actually want to deliver it over here. So once you do that, you then go on to receiving. So the PO has been created. We wait a week or two, depending on the lead time on our suppliers. Then we go to receive it. So we have the same PO here. We can then go ahead and receive it to our system. And what that does is it'll actually give you a prompt to update your inventory. And what the update inventory does for you is that it'll actually fulfill any back orders. So if you had any back orders for that product that we just received, what we'll actually do is actually scan out all our orders in the system with back orders for that product and fill it for you. So that way you don't actually have to manually go back into each of the orders and fulfill that. So now, next thing I'm showing you is going to be the scan and receive. So similar to the manual receive I showed you, you can do scan and receive where you can actually input a PO and then you can scan the product to that particular PO. That way it's faster and more accurate if that case. So you can scan one at a time, or you can scan the product and then you can say, you know, if you get a box, you can say 100. That way it'll add 100 to the inventory that you receive. Now, we also have what we call the import-export for advanced inventory. And what that is, that allows you to export the data out of M.O.M and import it back in. Now, that comes very handy when you do physicals in your system. So if you have quarterly or yearly physical inventory counts, you actually can use this feature so that you export the data out of the system. It produces an Excel sheet where you can update the data and then import it back into M.O.M, making your physical count much easier to handle. Next is we have the adjustment for inventory. So in here you get three functionalities that you can use. When I look up a particular product here, and I can actually adjust the units in inventory. You can see here I can add 10, and you can see 10 and 28 gets you 38, and you can also adjust the unit cost at the same time. The second option here, you can actually adjust the lot. So if you have multiple lots and you made a mistake on receiving, or there was an added landed cost that you want to calculate into the cost, you can actually do that here. And last is that if you have pick bins and bulk bins, you can transfer inventory between bins and warehouses. So you can transfer from one bin to another within their system, so you can record that and track that in reporting purposes. That way you don't lose track of where the inventory is going and where it came from. And last on this list is the bin management. So let me get into a product property sheet here. Under inventory, you have multiple bins. You can obviously add a bin here, but I'm going to go edit an existing one. You have a bin number, which is typically, aisle 1, A1, shelf 2, bin 3 or bin 2. So something like that would be some of the common naming conventions for bin numbers, so that it's easier for your warehouse picker and packers to kind of identify the product and find where it is in the warehouse. This bin information is printed on the pick ticket. Also, if you have lot numbers, we have lot numbers right here. You also have controls for the status of the bin. If you want to sell the bin, you can sell out of the bin, or you can't. Some people use do not sell as a bulk bin, so they don't sell from that bin. They always sell from the pick bin. You also have selling priority. So if you have multiple bins, you can set priority so that the system will automatically pick the highest priority first. You also have different preferences, receiving, returns, kits, or your point of sale bins. And the last feature we have for bin management is the auto replenish. Again, this goes back if you have a pick bin and a bulk bin, and you can automatically set up a setting here for low level and the quantity to take from bulk to the pick, and you can run the auto replenish on a daily basis. That way the pick is always stacked and ready to be fill orders. So that's the inventory management, an overview. We do have more features in the inventory side, but that's some of the highlights we have on inventory management. So again, we're going to pause here for 15 to 30 seconds. While we do that, I'm going to give this presenter back to Sean, and we're going to hold for questions and move on to the next topic.
Okay, once again, thank you Ian, for showing us that. We're going to go into one of our final views of M.O.M itself. We're going to go in and talk about customer management. Obviously, we're going to look at managing the different customer expectation and appeasement by looking at, the different customer types and type codes that we can handle here in M.O.M. Mention and handle customer contact history, and also look at the comments made for that customer. We'll also be looking at viewing the customer's activity, what they've done last within using the system itself, or placing orders, getting contact, stuff like that. Obviously, we're going to also talk about how we store extra customer information, contact information, etc. And then also we're going to be looking at some of the attachments we can add, and then also look at a tool when it comes to the holiday season when it gets busy. Instead of looking through all your customer lists, looking at the last customers you touched, and really going on and continuing from there. So what I'm going to do, once again, is I'm going to give it over to Ian. Ian's going to show this, and then we'll take another quick question break. Once again, if you do have questions, make sure that you're asking those questions here directly in the question panel.
Thank you, Sean. So let's look up a customer record in our system. So Boots here. We have William Boots. You can see here the initial screen that you would see is the General tab, and within here you have different type codes. Now, type codes are typically used to categorize your different type of customers. They could be dealers, wholesalers, retailers, and then we have three different. And the second one could be the regions or geographic, so that could be state, and any other affiliations for third. So you can really slice and dice your customer base. And the reason you want to do that is when you do reporting in the system, you can actually see where most of your revenues are coming from, or what set of customers are ordering what particular product. You can also tie type codes to item promotions and order promotions. So if you want to give wholesalers different pricing versus retailers, you can do that based on type codes. We have customer comments here. These comments are very useful for your CSRs, the call center, where you can leave comments here that's specific to the client, so that the CSR getting the call or handling the customer can appropriately handle the customer, whether it be if it's a hot customer or if it's a VIP customer. We want to make sure that we treat the customers accordingly. Over here we have contact history. Again, this is for the CSR side. Within M.O.M, you can log different phone conversations or written conversations from the particular client. That way when you actually save this and a different CSR picks up the call for William, it's easy to go and look at the contact history and pick up where they left off, making the experience for the client much better and more smooth and continuous, instead of having the CSR again capture all the information, ask what the issue was, and so on and so on. This allows us to continue where they exactly left off and give our end client a nice smooth experience with your business. Also within the General tab here, we have the customer activity. So this allows you a nice snapshot of what's been going on with this client, when their last order was, when the last time we spoke to them, when the last time we sent them an email or correspondence, last time we actually updated their ACVM or address to validate. So it's a nice quick view for your CSR to see, hey, what's been going on. You also have some nice stats here on the right-hand side on how new this client is, how many orders they have. So again, view information that your CSRs can leverage so that they can appropriately handle the different clients that you get calls that you get in this call center. So on the communication side, again, it goes back to the new contact. You can also schedule calls here. So you can assign a schedule for a particular user, and they can follow up on that call. So again, that way we have a telemark contact management that you can display all the calls. So as a CSR, if you have to schedule some follow-up, you can do that to our new contact in the customer main screen, and then this call will be scheduled and displayed right on this screen over here. That way you can follow up on any issues with the client. You also have additional phone numbers. Right now you see that the main 2 phone numbers or fax are right on top, but you're not limited to that. You can actually add as much phone number as you'd like. Same with email. You have one main email, but you can also add multiple emails over here. For certain verticals, attachments are fairly useful, specifically on nutraceuticals or a firearm industry where they need license or prescriptions. You can easily attach those prescriptions right to the client, so that way you can verify that they do have the prescription and you have documentation on that. And like Sean said, during the busy season, when the CSR is handling multiple tasks, placing orders, looking up stock items, importing orders, or handling customer follow-ups, it might be hard to track down what the last customer he was working on. So what we added is a feature for recent customers and recent orders. So you can easily go here and you can quickly see the last customers that's been touched by a particular CSR. Same thing for orders. If I go to orders, you can see the last orders that I've been working on, and you can easily click the order that you'd like, select it, and then bring it right to the order that you're working on. Again, just another tool for our CSRs to make their life a little bit easier and make sure that our customer experience is much better on the other side. So that's for customer management on the M.O.M 10. So we're going to hold again for questions. I'm going to give the presenter back to Sean.
All right, and we're back. We're going to actually, follow this up and end this right now. We're going to talk a little bit about M.O.M support. So obviously, there's 2 levels of support. With that, it means you get gold, which is pretty much everything that is shown here, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Platinum includes everything that gold includes, plus 24/7 support for system down cases. That's if you can't log into your system's not pulling any orders in, whatever the case may be. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you don't want to talk to support, here's another way you can get around and not handle some support stuff. There's online ticketing. There's a knowledge base. There's an online support website and an online support web portal where you get the latest announcements, patch updates, trending issues, and popular knowledge base articles. And within M.O.M, there is a self-serve portal within M.O.M. So to wrap everything up, we did discuss today about how to manage orders within M.O.M by creating orders without customer information, creating the quote, and then also creating the order entry process from beginning to end. We also talked about managing inventory, which is going to go into purchasing, receiving, and adjustments. And lastly, we talked about managing customers within M.O.M 10 by talking about expectation and appeasement, viewing the customer's activity, and managing communication with customers. So Ian and I would like to thank you for taking your time out today and wanting to show you a little bit about M.O.M and talking a little bit about Freestyle Solutions as a company. If you do have any questions, you can actually email Sean at shawn.taggart, Taggart, at freestylesolutions.com, or you can call me directly at 800-858-3666, extension 239, and we'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. We want to thank you for joining us today, and we'll hear from you soon. Thank you.